Oh, Swansea V, that provocative ass thumbnail. What are you thinking? Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be talking about Superman, directed by James Gunn, starring David Cornsweet and Nicholas Hoult. Now, let me go ahead and try to lay out the idea for what I want to do with this video. First and foremost, I am a movie review channel, so I prefer to give out spoiler-free reviews for my viewers, just so they can get an idea on if the film I'm talking about is even worth their attention. At the end of the video, I always give out my personal score on the movie, 1 through 10, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing here. I will be giving a full spoiler-free review of Superman for the first half of this video. For the second half, it will be a spoiler-filled analysis because Superman is stirring up a lot of talking points. There's a pretty big controversy. That was a horrible. Let's just keep going. There's a lot of talking points surrounding Superman, and I want to chime in, but I can't unless I get into spoilers. But there's no need for fear because not only will I be giving a verbal warning prior to the spoilers, but there are also going to be timestamps in the description below if you want to either skip over the spoilers completely or skip straight to them. Hear my analysis, my very surface level analysis for this very surface level commentary this movie makes. This is definitely going to be my most controversial video, even more than the Am I Racist review. It's like I never learned, so let's just get into it. Starting off with the spoiler-free review of Superman 2025. Did I enjoy this film? Yes, I did. I had a great time in the theater. Did I have problems with Superman? Yes, of course. Not every movie, not any movie is going to be perfect, really, unless you're There Will Be Blood, or Psycho, or Chinatown. Bit of context, I am a movie enjoyer, not a comic book reader. The only comic I've ever read in my life was Watchmen, and even then, I'm not sure if that could be classified as a comic book or a graphic novel. I don't know the difference. I don't give a shit. I'm saying all this because it's important to note that comic book accuracy is not at the top of my list when it comes to being critical of comic book movies. I treat those movies the same I would treat any movie, any non-comic book movie. So if this Superman is not your preferred iteration of Superman, or there's a retcon in here that shouldn't be in here, or you plan on commenting something along the lines of, well, you see, Swans, James Gunn actually fails to understand the complete... Zip it, okay? Put a sock in it. I promise you, on this side, we do not care. I'm looking at this film as a singular film, as the thing that it is. I only care about what happens in this specific story, in the beginning, middle, and end. What's at the top of my list when it comes to film criticism? At the top of my list are things like, how's the pacing? Does it flow well? How are the characters written? Are they consistent? What's the acting like? The cinematography, the editing, the sound? Is the story good? For those aspects of filmmaking, I would say Superman is good to decent in most parts. It falls short on a few of them, and we'll get into them. But for right now, let's talk about the pros. Pro 1. Easily, this is the best Superman movie of the 21st century. Now, that may sound like high praise, and it kind of is, but it doesn't sound all that impressive when you realize its competition is Zack Snyder and that one movie from 2006 that nobody gives a fuck about. This Superman was a breath of fresh air, and I think a lot of people who are raving about this film can agree on that. The energy, I really liked it. It was very funny. Most James Gunn movies are, but this one, it just oozed optimism and adventure. Unlike a lot of the super dark, serious tone, serious superhero films we've been getting for the past decade or so, this one almost felt like it embraced its corniness, but not to an annoying, unearned degree. Like, it felt natural, sort of similar to the tone of the Sam Raimi trilogy. Not as good though. Okay, those let's make that clear. Those Spider-Man movies, that's still the bar. I do think Superman does find a good balance of heart and, okay, let's take the story seriously. There was a charm reminiscent of Richard Donner's Superman. Now, sometimes that charm can get drowned out by the overabundance of CGI, which I guess will lead us into the first con. The VFX in this film is a double-edged sword. It looks fantastic in many scenes, especially the close-up shots of Superman flying. I love those shots. They felt super immersive. I was like, am I flying? But then there were other scenes where there is a lot of CGI just splurging all over the screen. There's just a lot of digital special effects, and it's so abundant it gets noticeable, which did take me out a few times. There was one scene near the final act that was frustratingly bad. I won't spoil it, but it involved a lot of colors. If you know, you know. That was damn near nauseating. I'm sorry. They could have toned that down a bit. It did not look magical. It did not look cosmic and spectacular. It looked like digital vomit. It looked like a computer just splurged all over my face. When I say this movie has a charm reminiscent of the 78 Superman film, that has to do more with the similarities in terms of the whimsical writing and tone, at least compared to Man of Steel. But also it has to do with the charm of our lead actor, David Corenswet, which, by the way, I hate saying his last name. I always feel like I'm pronouncing it wrong, so I'm just going to call him David. David knocked it out of the park. He was great as Superman. I do still think I prefer Christopher Reeve's Clark Kent, but I think this take on the Superman persona is my personal favorite. It's very similar to Christopher Reeve's Superman. They're both strong, but I really like this one because he just felt more expressive. He was funny when needed to be, but serious when needed to be, charming, had aura, and they're very similar, Christopher Reeve and David's Superman. I just think I gravitated towards this version more because even in his Superman persona, he felt more natural. Also, I enjoyed the Lois Lane dynamic and romance with her and Superman. I say that with a small caveat, and I'll expand on that in a moment, but just to be clear, I did enjoy the chemistry. David Corenswet and the actress who plays Lois Lane, Rachel that's a sentence. Rachel Brosnahan. She was fantastic. Rachel Bronson. Lois Lane and Superman had chemistry in this movie, and I really enjoyed that. I do say that with a small caveat. See, in this movie, it starts off with Superman's origin already being established. It's not like the 78 version where there's so much backstory. It takes literally an hour to see Superman in costume, which I liked for this film. You know, you don't always need the origin that we all know, that we all have seen with this character. However, that being said, I do wish we saw the beginnings of at least a few of Superman's most important relationships, or any of the characters. We meet most of these characters where all their motivations and dynamics have already been set. We don't see Superman put on the costume for the first time or why he does it. We don't see Lois and Superman meet for the first time or how they become a thing. We don't see why Lex hates Superman the way that he does. We do know the answers to all of this, but that's because we're told through either dialogue or character actions. But I think that brings me to my biggest con. This movie felt like it was juggling a lot. And in doing so, I felt like a lot of the character writing wasn't as fleshed out as it could have been. The plot wasn't complex or too hard to follow, but there were so many characters, and again, they were already all established. So it's like we're playing catch up. Like, this movie felt like a sequel to a movie that hasn't come out yet. Now, for someone who's going to comment, oh, Swan TV can't handle a movie where they can say all that dumb shit. The Batman 2022 Matt Reeves does the exact same thing. It flings us into a superhero film where the character has already donned the cape. The character's relationships, for I won't say the most part, but for many of his relationships in that movie, they've already been established. You already know the Chief Commissioner Gordon. The Batman and the Penguin already know each other. Really, the Alfred already knows Batman, but that's usually in most Batman fucking stories. The only relationships that haven't been established in that film, I would say the more important ones would be the Batman and Catwoman and the Batman and the Riddler. Everyone else has already been established, and I think that movie sort of brings us into that world a lot more smoothly, a lot more fluidly This one, not so much. I think the best parts about this film was when it slowed down and just took a breath. It let its characters, a few of them, talk at a time, let us know what they're going through, how they're feeling, what's next for them. Again, no spoilers, but scenes of Superman and his father, scenes of Superman and Lois in the apartment at night. Those were my favorite scenes. They were great, firm character moments that felt evenly placed. I wish we got a bit more of that, but this movie always feels like it's three different subplots racing each other, trying to figure out which one can get resolved first. Again, not necessarily impossible to follow, but it did make it a bit more difficult, at least for me, to get fully invested, fully attached. I just think slowing it down, maybe focus on a few key relationships and dynamics, cutting some of the meat out, maybe that would have enhanced my experience. Not even saying maybe, that would have enhanced my experience. That would have made my connection to the film a lot more stronger. And even though I may not have connected with all of them as much as I would have liked to, I still did enjoy the characters for what they were. Even the ones that seemingly came to the story at random and decided to stay. James Gunn, I'll give him that. He's very good at making you care a little bit, at least enough, for the strangest side characters you've ever seen. This movie does have a good feel to it. At times, it does feel a little bit too much like a hectic roller coaster, but at the end of the day, I am a whore for when it comes to the classic, unapologetic theme of people are good, and you should always strive to be a good person and just good to others. Even when there's no reward promised you. The reward promised you for being a good person is that you yourself are literally making the world a better place by being a good person. And if doing so, you inspire someone else to be a good person, well, there you go. 2-in-1 combo right there. You have just made the world even more better, even more based. Now, quick little bullet points before we get into spoilers. The cinematography is okay. Fuck, I just thought I saw a ghost. Oh my god, did I capture that on camera? Dude, when I turned, I thought I saw some bullshit. Fuck. Okay, let me come back. The cinematography, okay. It's okay. The stylized wide angle does help add to the comic book fun energy of it all. I'm not the biggest fan of the color palette. At times, this movie does look oversaturated and ugly. But then again, you do get some shots of the Fortress of Solitude coming out of the ground, and you're thinking, you know what, okay, I forgive you. At times, this movie does also look very nice. So I'm kind of 50-50 on that. I really did enjoy the score. It's not John Williams, it's not Hans Zimmer, but it's not trying to be either or. It's got its own style, and I think this style fits the style of the movie quite nicely. The acting is good from everybody. I would say the standout performances were David Corenswet as Superman, and Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor was amazing casting. That's probably due to the fact that Nicholas Hoult is an amazing actor. However, I want to also give a shout out to Eddie Gathegi. I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name. He killed it as Mr. Terrific. Easily the surprising GOAT of the film. He had a great screen presence about him. Funny character, badass character, stoic, probably a little autistic. Easily the best character in the film besides Superman and Lex Luthor. I'm excited to see what they do with him in the future. Great performance. Okay, now with all that being said, if you don't want spoilers and just want to hear my conclusion and the final score and the similar recommendation I give this movie, go check the description, click on the timestamps. We are now heading into spoilers. Full on spoiler warning. Okay, so if you skip to this part of the video, you're probably thinking, Swans TV, explain that thumbnail. What are you, anti-Semitic? Yes, no, I'm kidding. I'm not anti-Semitic, I promise. I do have the very soy cuck lid position that you shouldn't hate or judge people based on their religious beliefs or their physical appearances. I know, a bit gay on my end, but I'm sorry, morals. But on a more serious note, I do think this movie does touch on Israel and Palestine. I know that's been kind of a debate and a talking point for the past week or so. People arguing, oh no, it's not about Israel and Palestine, you're reaching, or oh, it obviously is, or oh, it's about Russia, Ukraine, or oh, it could be about anything depending on when the movie comes out, depending on what's happening in the geopolitical atmosphere of the world. Well, like I said, I do think this movie is about Israel and Palestine, and I'll explain why in a moment. Well, I don't think the whole movie is about Israel and Palestine. I think a subplot touches on it, and I believe James Gunn clearly takes a pro-Palestinian side. One of the major plot points of this film is a feud between two countries. One is trying to invade the other, so off the bat, you can already make similar connections to Russia, Ukraine. Now, if your response to that is, oh, so you think any movie coming out right now where you have one country invading another country, you automatically think that's referencing Russia, Ukraine? Obviously not. No, that is a dumb shit conclusion. I do think context matters. Obviously, when the film comes out matters. What was happening in the world at the time matters. Also, how many patterns do you see in the film that reflect these real world events? Because current real world events do have a tendency on influencing and impacting our filmmakers. Look no further than 70s cinema right after Watergate. They all went schizophrenic. Not only is it important to know the context of when the movie comes out, but look to the context of the story itself. What is the theme? What is the movie trying to say? What is it trying to emphasize? Now, I absolutely hate speaking on topics I know nothing about or feel like I don't have enough knowledge to speak on, like this one. This is why I run a movie review channel, not a geopolitical history channel, so I'll try to choose my words carefully. From the very few things that I know, the very small facts I know about Israel and Palestine, it does seem that Israel is actively committing a genocide on the Palestinian people. Now, if you don't want to call it a genocide, because I know some people make that into the debate itself, I don't have time for that bullshit. Genocide, you call it a massacre, war crimes, whatever you want to call it, there does seem to be an abhorrent number of deaths for the Palestinian side. I think the massive death toll numbers should be the focus. The fact that a lot of civilians and children are dying and being killed. And besides, there are many sources, many organizations I think are reliable that are calling it a genocide. So I'm going to call it a genocide. And for the ones who see the world in black and white, no, obviously this is not a calling to become anti-Semitic. I think it's okay to criticize and condemn Israel without becoming a Nazi. I'm not saying Jewish people bad. I'm saying the government and military of Israel is committing horrific acts on the people of Gaza. And they are people that are clearly outnumbered, outgunned, out-equipped. And the reason why I think Superman touches on this is because in the film, the two countries that are at war, the one side that is being invaded, so the side that we're automatically supposed to have empathy for, they are literally fighting the other side with rocks and sticks. They're outgunned and out-equipped. And mind you, they're all brown. Like, James Gunn did not make this subtle at all. One of the biggest criticisms Israel has gotten is the amount of child death that has resulted from this war, this genocide. And there's literally, I remember this, there's literally a shot of a kid praying for Superman to save him, an unarmed brown kid, and the enemy soldier, the invading soldier, points his gun at this unarmed child and shoots at him, trying to kill him. And they really draw that scene out. Then another reason why I know this movie is touching on Israel and Palestine is because in the middle of the film, Superman, there's a plot twist where Superman finds out his parents did not send him to Earth to be a friend, to be a hero, to be an inspiration. They sent him to Earth to one day conquer it. They want him to take the land that already has people in it, and they want him to take it, and I quote, without mercy. And obviously this breaks Superman because Superman thinks that's evil. I mean, I don't know how much more on the nose you have to be. Like, with all the context I just said, and this movie coming out now where Israel and Palestine is the biggest topic it's ever been, even though they've been at war since forever, you can't say it's not about that or it's not touching on that. You could disagree with the politics, sure, that's your opinion, Do you? But you can't say that I'm reaching. You can't say, oh, you're just, I don't want to hear, oh, you're just saying that because Israel and Palestine are the talking point right now. Bro, with, with, with all these specific scenes he included, with these specific storylines he included, the only thing James Gunn could have done to make it more in your face is to have named the countries fucking Blizzrel and Wallenstein. In the end, I do like that James Gunn included that part. Since we are an ally of Israel, I would have never expected a big Western blockbuster with the IP of fucking Superman to even hint at the possibility of being pro-Palestine. And again, I think this movie goes far and beyond a hint. And if you think James Gunn isn't equipped to talk about such things in a PG-13 DCU comic book film, I mean, that's your opinion, sure, that's valid, but I liked it. I did not think it was tone deaf, it didn't feel out of place, even though it is a subject too heavy, too complex for this movie to say something truly meaningful. It still said what it wanted to say, what it needed to say. All James Gunn did was portray the invading country that wants to displace and conquer the other country as the bad guy. And I admire that because not only is it a take I agree with, but I also have yet to see anyone else do it on that level. You take that position. I know being pro-Palestine is very popular at the moment on the internet. Well, depends on what side of the internet you're on. If you're on like 49-year-old Facebook mom side, they probably don't even know what Gaza is. But there's a difference between the internet and the public. There is a difference between some actor posting on their IG story at GoFundMe and to make a massive blockbuster with the most popular superhero of all time, and to have it condemn genocidal behavior in this specific way, with the country being invaded shown as mostly brown people fighting with sticks and rocks. In this specific time period, I think we all know what's being reflected on. I know it won't change anything. I don't look to James Gunn as the white savior, but I enjoyed that I clearly saw that message on the big screen. Alright, we are done with spoilers. Now, in conclusion, I enjoyed Superman with its faults and alls. Sure, it could have been more condensed, less CGI splurge all over my face, less side plots maybe more honed in pace, but at the end of the day, I had fun. This movie did not necessarily get me excited for the future of the new DCU, but personally, that would have been a huge task in general. I do think it was good enough to at least intrigue me about the future for this new DCU. And sometimes that's all you need. I like the casting, and I'm interested to see where the next part of the story will go. I'm giving Superman a 6 out of 10. I would recommend this movie. It is not mid. If you are a fan of action superhero movies or just a fan of James Gunn, I would recommend this movie. Although, the best James Gunn film, I think we can all agree, is still Guardians of the Galaxy. No, I'm just kidding. It's The Suicide Squad. It is The Suicide Squad. And for the similar recommendation, I'm going to be going with Spider-Man from 2002, directed by Sam Raimi, starring Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst. When it comes to superhero movies, comic book movies in general, this is one of the GOATs, okay? This was Superman 2025 before Superman 2025, except better. Not only did it embrace its sort of cheesiness, but it probably didn't even know it was being a little cheesy. Hold that thought. Actually, the fact, now that I've verbalized that and said that out loud, it got me thinking, because this is Sam Raimi we're talking about, the same man who made Army of Darkness and Evil Dead Part 2. So, I retract that statement. Sam Raimi's the GOAT, and he knew what he was doing all along. If you want a fun origin superhero film that not only has solid action, but solid characters, good story with some of Willem Dafoe's finest acting to date, look no further than Sam Raimi's classic Spider-Man. Alright y'all, that does it for this video. Thank you for watching. Did you agree? Did you disagree? I'm sure the comment section is going to look normal and healthy, but seriously, thank you for watching. My upload schedule, I do admit, has slowed down, but that's only because I've actually been recording and editing and writing a lot of videos. So for the time being, because a lot of them are already ready to go, expect a consistent upload pace. Matter of fact, this weekend, expect an Eddington review and a possibly a best and worst of 2025 so far video, or another video that I have ready. I don't want to give away the title for that one. I'm excited for that one. I don't know which one yet, but regardless, like I said, expect a consistent upload schedule. If you have any recommendations for either me or anybody who reads your comment, please leave it down in the comments below. Again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subs. We need 1,000 subs, y'all, and I know we can do it. Regardless, thank you, Swans family. I will see you at the next one.